Hello, friend, and welcome to the Spooky Chris podcast. I am your aforementioned Spooky Chris, and I thank you for joining me for another episode. I am excited today to speak with a friend of mine, Jeff Mansk. I met Jeff at the Motor City Comic Con a million years ago, early in the 2000s. We had booths right next to each other. He was there promoting a comic. I was there promoting my book. And I have one book. This tells you how long ago it was. My one book and chapbooks I had out. I can't remember which I had there. And over the weekend, we kind of bonded over shared strangeness and silliness. We became friends with us and a couple other people that were there. That's one of the fun things about conventions and vending them and stuff. And it's just a whole nother world because by the end of it, you're kind of your own group, and everybody kind of bonds over that weekend. And I've known him since then. He is a musician and actor. He has released unique pop music under the name Flipping the Pig, and currently is releasing music under the name The Jefferson Quincy Union. You can find that on YouTube pretty easily. He's a background in improv comedy and theater, has acted in several productions in and around Detroit and Chicago, and has had music featured in TCW Wrestling and on Dog the Bounty Hunter. And if you have that on your resume, my friend, you can just retire. I am looking forward to this conversation, and I hope you are as well, and I welcome Jeff Mansk. Thank you so much, Jeff, for joining me. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. Yeah, very relaxed in the middle of two trips, so had today off.
It's so. We'll go behind the scenes here.
Yes.
I've seen. So, are these business trips? Are these
Um,
fun
uh,
trips?
they're fun trips for me, business trips for my partner. He does like audio video stuff for conferences. So
Right. And it sounds fun to me as well, but I'm not in
yeah,
that. I'm not in that business. So,
yeah, I'm like woohoo, get to go to, the gaming fest or what have you. So
it sounds fun to me. But
yeah, it
but
was
then
enjoyable.
I write for a living, so I mean, I don't get out of an office.
Oh yeah, that's a very solitary
Yes, yeah.
yeah thing.
So how have you been? How are things going for you?
Going, I've been strangely reinvigorated over the past year or so, after many, many years of not doing much, just to start recording again and writing, and it feels good. Yeah, I've probably done more in the past year than in the past, like the 8 years before that combined.
That is awesome. I
Yes.
am going to get into that, but that is great to hear. Now going back into the time machine.
Yes.
What inspired you as a kid? Like what kind of filled your head?
Um, Music wise, or just
But in
let's
general, but if you want to hone in on music, because that's kind of the thing.
yeah. I do. I recall one of my first records was the Chipmunks sing the Beatles hits. Um, and that was very, very early grade school. Listened to it endlessly to the point where I first heard the Beatles, and they just sounded so sluggish to me after years of the Chipmunks. Then I think my uncle must have bought a stereo. This would have been in the late 70s, and he must have gotten a free record with it. So he just walked in my bedroom. He's like, "Here, kid." Gave me the record, and it was a compilation called Sound, and it had a very 70s looking illustration on the cover. But it, I went back, I found it online somewhere, and it's strange how much a lot of those songs influenced me. The one
Oh,
that
interesting.
influenced me, uh, it was like classic rock. There was a song by Aerosmith, Edgar Winter Group, Poco, I think. The one that influenced me the most was probably Watermelon Man by Herbie Hancock. I was obsessed with that song. It just starts out with like it just layers upon layers upon layers, and that kind of uh just influenced everything going forward, I guess.
That's awesome.
So.
What were you kind of watching and reading as a kid?
I always had trouble reading. I always wished I could read more, but I don't know if it was undiagnosed dyslexia or just some brain thing. I don't know. But yeah, I was always a very slow reader. I do remember James and the Giant Peach, which I remember being in third grade. I stopped reading it as soon as the caterpillar called James an ass. I was like, this is inappropriate. No more for me. Put that down. Um, God, and what was I watching? Just like standard kid stuff, I guess, from late 70s, early 80s. So all the kid-centric sitcoms. I was very much into, they were all three camera sitcoms at the time, but yeah, all of those. So everything you could think of from Different Strokes. If there was a kid in it, I could relate.
Yeah, yeah, it's same, like Silver Spoons and all of that.
Yep.
Which is funny is I would watch stuff like Benson and all of the not aimed for kids, but I just really liked those a lot for
Oh
some reason.
yeah. I loved Soap, but it was on right when I was able to, like, right when I had to go to bed. So I would kind of like sneak looking out my bedroom window out my bedroom door to watch my parents watching Soap, and I was like, I want to see this show. So
That's awesome. Now you have, along with music, you've acted. Now, how
yes.
did you get involved in acting?
Um let's see. When I It's probably my first year right after high school. I got a job at a dinner theater, and one of my friends there and he had gotten a video camera, and we just would riff off of each other, and it was just we were rambunctious and goofy, but it all in an innocent, non-harmful way. But like during the plays, we'd all have like crawling races in the back of the theater, like who could crawl from one side to the other, like while the show's going on. And we were just always cracking each other up, so we started uh, filming our own videos, and we had a compilation maybe of like one was maybe about an hour, a little over an hour. The other one was maybe 45 minutes of just our own comedy sketches. Did that, and then I took some classes at the Second City in Chicago. So I was driving downtown from the suburbs. The first one was a writing course. Started with three people in the class. And then by the second or third week, it was just one-on-one, me and the teacher, because the other two people dropped out.
Holy cow.
And I was so painfully shy. I like the teacher would get in my face. I mean, I say teacher, whatever you would have called him, but he was like, "Will you talk, please?" I'm sorry, I don't, is this okay? But he seemed to like what I wrote, and I learned a lot because he would look at maybe a 5-page script, and just take his red pen and with the first page make a big X over it and go, just get to the point. You don't need this this first page of build up. Just then I was like, okay, that's cool. Um, yeah, and then I started taking improv classes. Um, and a few years later, I had started at the Annoyance Theater taking classes. And that was probably mid 90s. That one just kind of really spoke to me. Uh, and the people in the class just gelled. And there were three levels of classes, and the third one at the end of the term, we would always just sign up for it to take it again. And they had to invent an entirely new class because nobody from the previous level could get into the new one because we were all signing up to do it again. And then when they invented the new class, at the end of that, they said, "Okay, here's the deal. None of you can take a class for the next 6 months. If you want to do something on your own, go ahead." So we were all like, "Oh, I don't try not to swear," but I was like, "Oh
Are
God,
you?
what do I do?" That's okay. Okay.
Yeah, whatever you want.
But yeah, so we put together a show through improv. One of the Instructors there directed us, and it was fantastic. It was supposed to run for six or 8 weeks. It went for 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was just a lot of fun. Then I moved to Michigan, didn't really do anything for about 10 years, started taking classes again, and then I ended up at Go Comedy, improv theater in Ferndale. And kind of got into the Second City classes right at like the perfect time. Again, the class gelled. I'm still good friends with a lot of the people now. What would that be? 10, 15 years later? Um, and so yeah, the from square one, ground floor of Go Comedy, we were there performing. So that's been fun. Uh I haven't done a lot there lately, but I've been in a lot of shows there, did some music for some of the shows,
Oh, cool.
co-wrote a couple of shows. So yeah, it's just a lot of fun.
How now do you prefer to write the comedy or to perform it or kind of both?
Kind of both. There's something very freeing about doing improv in the sense like I prefer the long form improv, which is less games, like less whose line is it anyway, and more however many people are on the stage, give them a location, and be like, Nantucket, okay, here we go, bam. Like and the scene could suck horribly, or it could be amazing. And one of the things I remember learning from the Annoyance Theater time is they always said, if it's great, fantastic. If it's not, you're never going to have to do it again. Go across the street. We're going to have some drinks. Like,
Well,
so
I would imagine it's and maybe this is may have had the same experience kind of doing performing live is there's got to be ebbs and flows where you start to kind of lose the thread there and you have to like the challenge to get it
yes,
back and to get the audience back has to be kind of
that
scary but fun.
that is a huge challenge. Yes, and I've experienced that quite a lot. That it's funny that you can feel it and you have no idea why. It's just the audience isn't reacting and it's just dead silence, non-responsive. There was one show I recall, I guess everybody else in the show was doing fine or felt good about it. I myself was thinking, I'm not doing shit. I'm just sitting here and making little facial expressions because my mind was totally like I couldn't think of anything to say. And so we all went to the bar across the street, as we did, and one of the people in the audience came up to me and he just said, "You were so hilarious. You were so understated, like Peter Sellers." I'm like, "What? What the hell?" Okay, I'll take that. But yeah, so you never know what the audience is thinking aside from the obvious
Have you
laughter.
have you done any kind of more serious roles or do you just kind of stick with comedy?
Um, God, have I done serious roles? That's a good question. Yes, yes, I did. It was a place that was open in Detroit for a while called the Abriact Theater, and uh, it was for Halloween a series of short one acts called the Hot Mess Chronicles. And they were all independently written. And they ran the gamut from, funny to disturbing. And I was in a somewhat disturbing one. So I played just a bartender who slowly just loses it and gets very, very angry at the end. And then I'm cut up and all that good stuff. But I went back to the theater the next year to see a show, and one of the nicest compliments was somebody in sitting in the row in front of us turned around, looked at me, and she did a double take, and she said, "I saw you in a show last year here." I was like, oh my God, you remembered me." And then her eyes just got very big, and she said, "You were scary." And just kind of slowly turned around. I'm like, no, no, I'm gentle and harmless. But
That's
yeah,
great.
yeah, I would love the opportunity to do more serious stuff. And I'm sorry. I feel like I'm talking too much, but
No, I mean that's why it's that's
I
why
mean that's what we're doing.
yeah.
But
That's why we
um,
paid the admission, not to hear me.
um, the I co-wrote a show with my friend Bob from Go Comedy called Guess Who's Coming to Puppet Street. And it was his idea. It was brilliant, and he asked if I would be interested in co-writing, and yeah, I jumped at the chance. And I was joking throughout it. I was like, okay, you're doing all the funny parts. I'm tackling all the pathos, whatever,
Yeah.
the serious stuff. So where yeah, there'd be a lot of funny scenes, and I'd be like, oh, okay, I'll do like where somebody dies. That'll be my scene. I'll do the sadness and take care of that. So it's nice to have a good balance of both.
Right on. Now, can you think of any other kind of highlights of doing, like improv or other kind of acting? Any kind of stuff that sticks out for you?
Oh gosh. There was a show, it just ended, called Let's Just Say at Go Comedy. It was a monthly storytelling show similar to The Moth. It was started I don't know how many years ago, but the person who ran it, Amy, she was kind enough to reach out and just ask, like, hey, from your Facebook posts, you seem like you'd be somebody who would have stories to tell. Would you be interested? And I thought, okay, that aspect is scary as hell to me because if I'm improvising, if I'm acting, I'm not myself. But I tried doing stand up twice, and it took me a year in between both times because I was so horrified. And it didn't dawn on me until I got up there, the lights went on, like, no, Jeff Mansk. And I stood there and thought, oh crap, if I fail, it's not a character I'm doing. It's not the right, it's me, Jeff Mansk, who is like looking directly at you and you're saying, I'm a failure. Oh God. And it was just, yeah, I give it up to anybody who can do that. But yeah, I did the storytelling things, and I loved it. It was I got such a kick because it could be humorous or could be serious, sad, whatever. They left it open, even though it is a comedy theater. Yeah, and I loved doing that. The one other moment that I can think of at the Annoyance Theater, it was a show called Pigs is Pigs, and it was just a musical about the trashiest of trashy people, but done with love. And my character was Crazy Eddie, and essentially throughout the show, I continued various states of undress until at the end of the show, I was just out there with maybe electrical tape over my nipples and whitey tighty whities or something, and like I'd have a pom pom on the front of it or something. And so the most uncomfortable moment was we all, doing the show. It didn't matter. I'm acting like everybody, and then we do our final bow for the final performance, and we all go backstage, and the director hops up on stage and says, I'd like everybody to come back out on the stage while I say a few words. And we all are like, what the hell's going on? Okay, cool. So we walk out there, and again, like I said with the stand-up, all of a sudden, I'm not the character. I'm me standing there in my tidy whities in front of a couple hundred people. It was just I was like, please let this just end. Please let me get off the stage right now. My God, I want to cover up everything. But yeah, still a great experience.
That's awesome. So let's dig into kind of the your musical side. What
Yes, yes.
what got you? kind of made you fall in love? Now you started kind of getting into it, like with music enough to want to make music.
Um, it's something when I was very young, I would always write lyrics to songs that already existed, whether it was the theme song from Sesame Street, the theme song from a sitcom or something, and I would write my own lyrics to it. I started off as a drummer, um, and remained uh, passable, I suppose, the entire time I kept on drumming. Um, Before I got my first drum set, I think that was sixth grade, I would just take whatever I could and hit it with pens and pencils until I got a pair of drumsticks. But they're like, I remember specifically there was a game called Cat's Eye, which was just this big plastic cat, I think, and you had marbles and but it had these plastic pieces like boards. So I would just put them all around my bed and, play drums on
Oh wow,
those
okay.
and, whatever I could find. Um, but while I was doing that, I was also, thinking like I've got these melodies in my head. I do recall specifically at some point hearing that George Michael wrote Careless Whisper when he was 17 or 18. And I just thought, damn, I've got to write something right away so I can write something when I'm like before I'm past 18 years old. So we had a big old out of tune upright piano in the house. So I would just start fiddling about on that. And then eventually we got, cheap little keyboards. So I would play stuff on that. Um, yeah, I don't know what motivated me to do it other than I've always had melodies in my head, and it can be a blessing and a curse. So it's uh yeah, just with excess it was excess college loan money that I got. And it wasn't a ton, but it was enough to buy the cheapest bass guitar I could buy and rent a 4-track recorder back when they were done with cassettes. And I just started recording music, and then I recorded some music for the movies that my friends and I were making, the comedy sketches. And then after that, I actually broke down and I bought a used 4-track recorder again with the cassettes, and I just started recording stuff on that. So it's all grown from there.
What was the first song you put out?
Oh gosh. Okay, there was a song. It's actually on the first album I did. It's called Heaven. And my thought was I want to write something that will sound complete with as little as possible. So I was like, don't overproduce it. Don't think I've got 4 tracks. I'm gonna, Beatles did Sergeant Pepper on 4 tracks. I can do that. No, I was like, let me go. What are the simplest songs I could think of? And I thought, like I remember specifically Sweet Baby James, the James Taylor album. Like a lot of that is just him and guitar. Let me listen to that. What's he doing with the songs and the vocals and the arrangements that can sound totally complete just with that? I always loved the Monkees, and I would just go to like, the first album. There's a song that's just guitar, drums, and vocals. I'm like, how can I do something that sounds like that? So that's what I did. And it was just drums, bass, and guitar, and then me singing in a very, very low, gloomy voice. And yeah, that was the first one that I recall doing.
That's awesome. What is your process like for making music?
Um, it could be anything. It's a lot of times I'll have a melody in my head or a bass line in my head, or maybe just something that I will maybe think will be a bass line, then it turns out to be the guitar part or what have you. And my phone is filled with audio snippets of me just, like saying, hold on a moment to whoever I'm with and like just grab the phone. And it's it's crazy that I'd say about 90% of it, I'll listen back and it's about 10 seconds of me saying, Okay, some kind of like this. And it ends. I'm like, what the hell? Like, what am I thinking? What's happening? But there are the other 10% um will be something that I can do something with. Or I'll just grab, like, okay, I'm sitting there strumming on the guitar and they'll learn a new chord, or I would just hit a chord and think, well, whether I like that chord or not, somebody's going to have to write the next song starting with that chord. Might as well be me. What will it be? And just go from there. Um, so yeah, I will say that I've never ever been good writing the lyrics first and then writing music to the lyrics. That's always been a challenge, and I don't know if I've ever actually even done that. So I've tried, but yeah,
How's it having started out kind of using four tracks? How has kind of modern technology changed things for you?
oh, it's wonderful. It makes it possible to match what's in my head a lot more. And there is something, maybe romanticizing the simplicity of recording on a four track where like I like being restricted as well. And even doing everything, I'm using Logic Pro now, which is a Mac software multi-track. And even with that, I could put 100 different tracks. I am still restricted and limited by my own abilities. You're never going to hear me do an amazing guitar solo. Like, like it's just not going to happen. Um, but yeah, I love the possibilities of getting what I want more closely matched with what you're going to hear, which a lot of times isn't the case. I've written songs thinking, okay, I want this to, have some kind of swing to it, or this will be a song for Sting to play, and then I do it like, no, not at all. But it's what it is, and I'm good with that.
Now, I was able to catch a show, I mean, a million years ago, catch you perform at a coffee shop.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, a
yeah.
million years ago. What's
Uh-huh.
it like for you performing for an audience? Like doing your music for
Um,
an audience?
I haven't done. I've never felt comfortable doing that. I think I fall into the um I'm not comparing myself to these artists at all, but more, all the bands who don't you're never going to see live. Like, there's never able to see XTC or the Pet Shop Boys or what have you. Um I enjoyed it. You just kind of plow through. I tend to uh like, let's say if I'm playing acoustic guitar and thinking, okay, this limits which songs I can do of mine and which I'm not able to do. And you're getting a lot of me in those shows, because if I screw up or I feel like explaining the next part of the song, I didn't do this consciously, but I would just stop playing in the middle of the song and start talking about it. And then, like, oh, this next part is like when, I was driving somebody around, he tried to jump out of the car, and then I had to like drive on the highway and blah, 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 blah. And back to the song. Okay. And then, like, so, yeah, I should get out more. I honestly don't. I mean, just the fact that I'm recording again and writing again, I'm happy about. But yeah, it would be cool just to get out there on a stage again, or wherever, in a small corner of a coffee shop, and start doing that again.
Now, what's you having, played at least a little bit live and done
Yeah.
acting? Like,
Yes.
what's kind of the different kind of conversation you have with the audience, between the two?
Um, it's doing the music live is a lot more of like doing the storytelling live. Um, like acting to scripted stuff, I tend to be very much like almost get in my head about like following the script exactly word for word. Um, if I'm doing improv, you're reacting off of the audience sometimes, or not so much reacting off of it, but that can build you up. Like if it's going well, or it can just give you that pit in the stomach. The other 92% of the time when I'm up there. But uh yeah, as far as similarities, like I said, when I did the storytelling, I would sometimes interact with the audience. Um, and when I'm doing music live, I really am probably more talky than maybe some people would like. But I don't know. I figure if it's, everything's free and you're welcome to come view it if you'd like. So.
Has your kind of music writing and performing changed over the years as you've kind of honed your talents?
Uh, yeah. Well, even when I wasn't recording, I was still coming up with ideas. And I'm always I'm always going off in different directions. So and I've always had a very I don't want to say eclectic because it seems to be maybe an overused word, but I'm always interested in what else is there. Um, I don't even know if I'm answering the question now. But
Hey, no, you're fine.
um, like I was always the person who, if I liked a song that I heard, I would buy the album because I would think, okay, what else is on the album? And then I would read the liner notes and think, okay, who are all these people and what other projects have they done? And who's the producer? What else has this person produced? And who's, just always wanting to be kind of a completist not that that's a oxymoron, but um, what was the question?
Oh, no, no, you're fine. You're fine. I know. I just asked how I asked how your process has changed. You're fine.
The process, the more I'm learning and getting familiar with the recording software, the that has helped the process. Um, as like and lately, like the past year or so, I've just concentrated on instrumental music. I've done a few vocal tracks as well, but for some reason I've taken to doing instrumental stuff and it seems to be going so much more quickly, like where I'm thinking, okay, 4 albums in 8 months or whatever whatever it's been. And I kind of can't stop. I've still got just files about files that are almost ready to go out, or they weren't ready for this album or that one. Um, yeah, I would say just technical knowledge is really the only thing that's that I can think of that's changed so far.
Now, people can find your stuff on YouTube.
Yes.
Um, what do you hope people take away from it?
Gosh. Um, well, probably what I would hope is if you like it, there's some connection to whatever it may be, whatever that elicits in the listener. I'm good with for the most part. But yeah, anything positive, I should say, that it elicits. There's been huge times in my life where I would listen to the saddest music I possibly could, and that even though it was bringing out those sad emotions, it still helped me get through those times thinking, oh, there's somebody else out there who's felt this because I'm connecting with it. As well as just the more aggressive music or just jubilant, chaotic music and what have you. So, yeah, I would say hopefully there's enough stuff, like enough of a variety that if anybody's interested, there's hopefully something there. At least, yeah, I'm narrowing it down. At least a part of a song maybe they would like. I don't- Yeah, yeah, just any connection is hopefully going to make somebody feel better. So that's good.
Well, fantastic. Now, you just released something a few weeks ago.
Yes, yes. That I'm when I'm doing the stuff, I have like the vocal pop rock stuff has up to this point been under the name Flipping the Pig. When I started doing the instrumental stuff, I just thought I want something totally different, but just to refresh things in my own creative way. So that's called the Jefferson Quincy Union, and the latest album is inspired by a photograph I took at Oakland Cemetery in Atlanta. Very cool old cemetery. Um, the first person I can think of who's there is Kenny Rogers, but they just very relaxing for me, I guess, to walk through. Um, and I have a folder on my phone of all the photos I've taken that I think this could be an album cover. And I throw the pictures in there. So I have about 20, 30 images in there. And I hadn't recorded anything for, I mean, like, oh no, 4 months. So I just thought maybe this year, this is the intention. Who knows if I'll follow through with it? But just to look at those photos and have that photo be the starting point of whatever I'm going to write and record. So this was of a statue that I loved. Took a picture of it, and then I superimposed over it a God, what's it called? Ink. I can't even remember the kind of artwork or painting, but my sister did something with some kind of alcohol paints.
Okay.
And so I put, superimpose that over the image. I was like, okay, there we go. That's doing an album, just going to call it Oakland Cemetery. And every track is just going to be Oakland Cemetery 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. So I got 7 of those. And then I started writing a little piano piece that I thought, I've been listening to, and I can never pronounce his last name, Eric Satie. Satie. Let's just show my ignorance. But yeah, love his music. Um, and I was like, let me try writing a simple piano piece, and then added some strings to it, and then thought, well, this is only a minute and a half. Maybe I'll just write a few more short, under 2 minute pieces. So that turned into 5 uh, music snippets. So that went on it as well. Again, like just having that image, the album cover in my mind is a starting point. So
That's awesome. Now, I can't thank you enough for finding some time to talk. It's been too
yeah,
long.
yes, absolutely.
And I can't encourage people enough to go and check your stuff out. And I look forward to catching up with you either again on here sometime or offline, as they say.
Yes, yeah, that'd be absolutely great.
Well, thank you so much, Jeff. You take care.
You too. This has been
Thanks.
great. Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Once more, I want to thank Jeff Mansk for making some time for me. That was amazing. Uh, Incredibly talented guy, whether you track down his pop stuff under Flipping the Pig or under the name the Jefferson Quincy Union. There's a lot to love, and I think you really will. You can look him up on YouTube, and I know he has his albums online. I can't remember what site, but yeah, Flipping the Pig's online, I know, and his other stuff is on YouTube. So I implore you to check it out. Great stuff. Love talking to Jeff. And thank you for hanging with us and listening. As always, you can go to spookychris.com and find all of my blogs, all my podcasts, links to my books. I have a new book out called Things We Found. It just came out a couple weeks ago. That is available. It's kind of like a found footage book. That's the inspiration. So strikes a chord with you. And everything else, spookychris.com. And you can find the podcast, the Spooky Chris Podcast, on your least favorite podcasting app. And friend, I will speak with you soon. Take care.